The ferry steams away from the wharf, leaving the historic city of Istanbul behind. It is heading out into the Sea of Marmara on one of its regular trips to the islands off the coast of Turkey. The people aboard pay little attention to one of their fellow passengers. A quiet man, calmly reading a newspaper. They don't realize he is one of the great spiritual leaders of the world, a leader who is playing a critical role in saving them from environmental dangers that grow worse every day, dangers that threaten the lives of us all.
To commit a crime against the natural world is a sin.
Stature in the Christian community to have made environmental issues or caring for God's creation a key issue. When some of his early pronouncements came out, I was quite aware of them because not too many senior religious leaders had said anything, about caring for God's creation up until that point.
If we start now, if those who go to confession, confess their sins and so on, if they start confessing sins against the environment, this will be a success, an immense success. It's a revolution.
The ecumenical patriarch decided to use his influence to bring people together to solve our common problem. He'd connect people who had the power to save the environment to those who had the knowledge. He would bring together scientists, religious leaders, government officials, media representatives, and ordinary citizens in a series of shipboard symposia. They'd share information on the environmental crisis and pool their combined expertise to find solutions.
What is interesting about the Orthodox Church initiative is that, as far as I am aware, this is the only group where the initiative is either being actually taken by or at least involves the very highest church authority.
I don't remember any other patriarch doing this. Not a patriarch, not a pope, not a Protestant leader, not a Jewish leader, nor anybody from the Muslim world or any other world who stood up and said, this is a moral imperative, we've got to do something about it.
The patriarch's plan was very simple, but as it turned out, not so easy to execute. His guests were people who had never before had the occasion, or perhaps the desire, to talk to each other, particularly the religious leaders and the scientists.
When I was invited, I was a little bit suspicious because, as you know, scientists don't look to religion with a lot of trust.
Science and religion have traditionally not gotten along, and a little bit of humility from both helps a lot.
Scientists in general just do not give a damn with what the religion people have to say philosophically about the way to do science.
I would say the scientists were more open towards theology than theology was open towards science.
And so it was important, the first symposium, to have them on a boat so that they would not disappear suddenly.
The split between science and religion is centuries old. For scientists, defying church doctrine once meant death. In the 1500s, Nicolaus Copernicus feared persecution from the Catholic Church so much that he waited until he was on his deathbed to publish his theory that the sun was the center of our planetary system, not the Earth. Though Copernicus escaped punishment, those who subscribed to his theory were not so lucky. Giordano Bruno was imprisoned for his heretical views, tortured for 8 years, then in 1600 burned at the stake. 32 years later, Galileo wrote a book offering his own proof that Copernicus was right. the Pope banned it, threatened Galileo with torture, and sentenced him to a lifetime of house arrest.
This situation, in my view, produced a reaction. So first you develop a doubt about anything that is not explained. So you reject faith, because faith is the territory of your enemy.
Rifts between science and religion are often as bitter today as in the past, particularly in areas like creation theory, stem cell research, and human cloning. But the Patriarch hoped the fragile state of the environment would help the two sides find common ground.
The wise men of the antiquity, they were also the priests, and they knew about the stars and plants and animals and meteorology and the soul and the spirit and the world. There wasn't a separation, and it's about time we overcome this.
The Ecumenical Patriarch began his campaign to save the environment by taking his influential guests to some of the world's worst environmental hotspots. In the Gulf of Finland, where contaminated water creates health hazards for millions, he took them on a tour of a new sewage treatment plant.
Something that I shall never forget is walking through a sewage plant with His All Holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople, accompanied by the world's press, striding through these remarkable caverns and seeing what enormous ingenuity had gone into dealing with a problem that, as we know, everywhere has to deal with in one way or another.
In Porto Romano, Albania, the Patriarch brought his guests to an abandoned chemical factory. The site is so polluted that those living nearby daily absorb deadly poisons through their skin. Thanks to the Patriarch, scientists and journalists had a rare chance to discuss the toxic dump site with the country's president.
I realise that it's a very expensive problem to solve. Yes. But there is a simple thing that could be done, which the entire site could be simply fenced off.
No, I don't believe on the fence, because if you have a local infection, it doesn't mean that this will be localized all the time.
No one's suggesting that's the total answer, Mr. President, but suggesting a way of stopping more people being
I answer the question.
In the Amazon, the Patriarch and his guests became eyewitnesses to the destruction of the rainforest.
We came to see and to learn, to see with our own eyes. We go back more rich in knowledge and in experience.
In the Baltic, the Patriarch focused the world's attention on fish species that once seemed infinite and are now close to extinction.
There was a days not so long ago where people talk about that the sea is not possible for man to empty the sea. Everyone talked about it. Sea is so big that it's not possible for us to take away the resources. Today, everyone say it was wrong. You know, they catch it up to 1 million tons of codfish, and then it's going down, going down, going down. And when it's reached around 150,000 tons, and it's never been restored. Even fishery is stopped, the cod is not coming back.
And in Greenland, he took his guests to the edge of a fjord to watch million-year-old glaciers melting into mist.
Kesi. Kesi. Kesi.
Ama kokuyor bir koku. Hali.
Demir izliyor.
Limon yiyecekler.
Kesi.
Even while facing the worst of the problems, the patriarch rarely misses an opportunity to enjoy the world he's working so hard to save. Whenever possible, he bypasses riding in cars for a simple walk in the open air.
You want to walk? Okay.
I like to walk.
Like all